Sustainability in the construction industry. Our guest for today is leading a company that aims to promote eco-friendly construction through innovative materials and products. Ria Canlas is the woman behind Piety Technology Incorporated.
The woman of today was a mere dream for a woman of yesterday. History has shown how difficult it is for a woman to cement her space in the realm of science. But today, we take the lead. We set the standards. We are in the front lines. We are women. We work to create a world where a woman can choose science as her journey, where technology is her uninterrupted road, and progress is her destination. We work to create a world where a woman in science is the norm, not the exception. A world where she is a constant educator, innovator, mentor, and leader. A world that is, and will continue to be, an inclusive and diverse global scientific community.
I am Dr. Maharlika. I am an engineer scientist, and I am a woman in science.
To create a world where a woman can choose science.
Okay, so let me introduce to you our speaker. So our guest speaker for this webinar is our very own Director for Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship, Dr. Ria Lisa Sicanlas. So an engineer, scientist, startup founder, and a patent agent. So let me introduce her. So Dr. Ria Lisa Sicanlas is a registered civil engineer, accredited materials engineer 1, and certified patent agent. She obtained her degrees in Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering at the Mapua Institute of Technology, Master of Engineering Management, major in Construction Management at the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, and Doctor of Technology at the Technological University of the Philippines, currently taking Innovation and Creative Entrepreneurship Management Diploma at the Thames International. Dr. Ria is an industry practitioner, academician, researcher, innovator, inventor, technologist, scientist, entrepreneur, patent professional, and science communicator. She is a member of various professional and civic groups such as Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers or PICE, Committee Vice Chair of Association of Patent Professionals, American Concrete Institute or ASIP, Project Management Institute or PMI, Filipino Inventors Federation or PhilInFed, Researchers, Inventors, Scientists, and Engineers of the Philippines or RISE, Board of Director of the Mapua CENC Alumni Association, Auditor of Philippine Association of University Women or PAU, and Founder President of Finite Element Institute of the Philippines or FEIP, have extensive training under the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and passed several distance learning advanced courses at the World Intellectual Property Organization or WIPO based in Geneva, Switzerland. Dr. Ria is founder inventor of Piety Technology Incorporated, a startup and local manufacturer that uses green innovation and technology to contribute to nation building. The technology is seeded by the Department of Science and Technology to help usher in an active localization of construction, materials, and respond to the infrastructure needs of the country. Through her innovative construction materials, Dr. Ria was conferred with back-to-back national awards. In 2019, given the Gold Award, the highest-rated design in the field of materials innovation, and the Grand Prize Malasakit Award as the first recipient in the Philippines for her technology and designs embodying the highest ideals having the most impact in addressing 10 Sustainable Development Goals. Wow. So 10 SDG of the United Nations given during first Good Design Award 2019 of the Design Center Philippines or DCP and Department of Trade and Industry. In 2020, the grand winner in the professional category of the Alfredo M. Yao Intellectual Property Award given by the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines and the Philippine Chamber of the Commerce and Industry. The AMY IP Awards aims to recognize socially relevant inventions by Filipinos. To be eligible for the award, the IP must be a patented and patentable technology, product, service, or subject matter. It also has to have commercial potential, will solve a societal problem or contribute to local community development, and is environmentally sound and sustainable. Additionally, she was one of the finalists in the Tech Planter Philippines 2020 of Live Anes Singapore and one of the top 500 promising technologies in Slingshot 2020. Also, most outstanding alumni in the field of research and development conferred by the Mapua CENC Alumni Association. So without further ado, guys, so let us welcome our speaker, the Director for Center for Innovation of Entrepreneurship, Dr. Ria Lisa Sicanlas. So let's give her a big round of virtual applause. Good afternoon po, Doc Ria.
Hello. So let me share my slide. Dali bagal lang ang internet ko.
Pareho po tayo, Doc. Naglalag.
Yeah. Okay. Naglalag eh. So I will close muna my camera ha para hindi tayo kumain ng bandwidth. Oo. Saglit. Close ako ng camera. Ayaw mag-close. Wait lang. Ayan, okay. So, I hope you can see my slide, guys. I'm now sharing my slide. Okay. So, welcome to our topic, cost structure and revenue streams. In some people, they consider this very toxic topic, no? Because we know we are dealing with numbers. Okay. Ayaw natin to, dealing with numbers. But this is actually the lifeblood of any business, because the first step actually in carrying out a business is to be sure that you have a cash flow. Yun ang una-una tinitingnan natin, no? So let me discuss what is a cost and what is a revenue. Okay. This is a cash flow diagram, okay? Kung gusto nyo, para it's very easy for you, you can just draw a diagram. And of course, a cash flow diagram only consists of arrows that goes up and arrows that goes down. Okay? Malinaw yan, ha? I'll try to make this discussion as simple as possible kasi ito yung pinaka-importante. Okay? So, arrows that goes up are revenue. What's revenue? Revenue is sales. Pinagbentahan. Pumasok na pera. Okay? Sales. That doesn't mean income. No, it's not a profit. It's not an income. It's sales. Okay? pumasok na pera. Of course, when there's inflow, there is outflow. So the cash outflows are going out. So whose point of view is this? This is the point of view of your company. Example, let's call your company ABC Company. Okay? So the ABC Company has this cash flow. Why am I saying the point of view? Because the point of view of other company may be different from your point of view. Paki-ano po tayo, silent po lahat ng mga mic kasi po para nakikipaglaban ako dun sa sound. Okay? So malinaw tayo dito guys. When money comes in, money goes out. And the point of view is the point of view of your company, the ABC company. Why am I saying that this is a point, the point of view is important? Of course, kasi yung customer mo or yung kliyente mo, baliktad yung cash flow niya, di ba? Bakit? Pag nagbayad ka sa kanya, sa'yo lumalabas. Sa kliyente mo naman, pumapasok. Okay? Pag nagbayad naman sa'yo yung kliyente mo, the money from your client goes out while the money goes in to you. So it's imperative that you draw or consider all the data based on the point of view of you operating as a company. So each of you has a team, and that team has now a company name, no? And probably, ang sinasabi niyong company name would be your product name. Na parang ang tawag doon sa descriptive type of a trade name. Okay? Kasi yung name ng company mo, yun din yung name ng produkto mo. Example, Coca-Cola. The name of the company is Coca-Cola Bottling Company and then the product is Coca-Cola. Okay? Pero pwedeng magkaiba, di ba? Example, your product is McDonald's. Your branding, the product is burgers, spaghetti, chicken. But your branding is McDonald's. But the name of your company is not McDonald's. Sa Pilipinas kasi, franchise ang McDonald's. So, hindi McDonald's ang pangalan ng mga company na go-operate ng McDonald's. No? But they have separate trade name that operate. This time, guys, I want you to put yourselves into being a business owner. Because if you don't do so, it will be very hard for you to appreciate. But you know, this is one of the most exciting, yet, of course, challenging and sometimes exciting, pero sometimes for others boring. Kasi nga, figures, no? Pero I want you to focus. Para makapag-focus tayo, imagine yourself being a startup company few months from now. Okay, few months from now. Some of you, yung mga successful, yung mga product, very good yung product, you will be, of course, turned into a startup after the term. Or we will incubate you until such time that you're ready to come up with your startup company. And I've already discussed what is a startup company during my last visit in each of your classes. Okay? Now, your startup company, with that trade name, you now supposed to have a cash flow. If it's easier for you to draw it, draw it. If it's easier for you to put it in the table, put it in the table. But this is how it's supposed to. This is how cash should flow in your company. Some cash will go out, some cash will go in. And mind the length of the arrows, no? The length of the arrows that goes up must be bigger than the arrow that goes down, because the difference between what goes up and what goes down is called a net cash flow. Revenue minus the cost is your net cash flow. Practically, this net cash flow, a portion of it will go to taxes, a portion of it will go to your pocket as your earnings. Okay, but you'll understand it better as we move forward. Okay, so zero means year zero. So from the time that you created your company is year zero. Example, you created your company today. So today is year zero. And then we count next year as year 1, 2, 3, and then that's you celebrate your first year anniversary, third, fourth, fifth anniversary. Now, you could see that any company starts from a an amount that goes out because this is your initial investment. So all company has initial investment. Actually, you're now capitalizing on your company, no? Because some of you are already buying your materials, no? Nagpo-prototype na kayo. Okay, and in fact, the time, no? The time that you consume in doing your product is also an initial cost. It's called the labor cost, the labor of doing the material, which I'll explain later. Okay, so everything will start from outflow or cash outflow. Then apparently at a certain period of time, you're gonna determine at what point in time will I earn, because you will not earn right at once, no? There would be a certain period that you will earn. And so it's very important for you to identify the market so that you would have a good comprehension on when you will be earning or when you will recoup back your investment. And we'll talk about that later. Let us first discuss about costs and design economics. Okay, you take notice that I use the word cost for all that goes down. Okay, or commonly known as expenses or expenditures. Expenses if you buy something, pay for something, and there's nothing in return, or simply consumables. Expenditure if you pay for something but there is an equivalent asset that is an equivalent of what you have paid for. So depende yung binibili natin. May binibili tayo na hindi na mababawi yung pera mo kasi binili mo pagkain, kumain ka. Meron tayong binibili na pag binili mo, mababawi mo pa yung pera mo. Example, bumili ka ng alahas. So yon, appreciation yun, no? Pag bumili ka ng, may mga bagay tayo na bibili that depreciates in value. Be the time. Actually, depreciation is part of the cost of the company. Kailangan importante na, lalo pag machine, sinasama natin yon. Okay? Now, but then, let's say what is cost and design economics. Okay? I'm sorry. Designing to meet economic needs and achieving competitive operation depends on the balance on two. Lumalabas yung ano ko. Teka ha, may lumalabas sa aking box. Wait lang. Paano ko ba aalisin tong box na to? So, there's a balance between technical feasibility and economic feasibility. Ito yung tinatawag natin when we do a scorecard and analyze your project, we base it on technical feasibility and market viability. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng puro technical, wala naman palang bibili. Okay? So dapat when we do something technical or technical innovation, it has to give you economic profit at the end of your venture. And it's the first thing that I want you to understand are cost terminology. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga perang lalabas sa'yo. Okay? Your costs, lahat lalabas. Okay? Costs differ in terms of the following. Number one, the frequency of occurrence. Okay? Is it something that goes out once? So example na, capital outlay. Capital outlay or capitalization or first cost or initial investment are all considered the same. They normally occur in year zero and it's appear only once. How about buying a car, for instance, or buying a building? May be occur once, no? Some are occurring monthly. Example, your rent in your office, your payment to your employees, your utilities, your payment for electricity bill, for internet, etc. Okay? So you have to identify, is this once or recurring? And its relative magnitude. So you have to identify at what extent is the magnitude or of these types of cost, no? Gaano kalaki yung magiging impact nitong cost na to, because of course relative magnitude and of course very similar to a degree of impact on the study. These two are basically basis for decision making. Example, you're caught in the decision of, am I going to buy a delivery van, or I am just going to hire a third party logistic company? Okay, am I going to buy a new equipment, or I will just rent an equipment? So things like this, no? The relative magnitude, no? Is it time to buy, or is it time to rent? Is it time to change my technology, or automate my technology, or dwell first with semi-mechanization? Okay, there are things that that has a magnitude or an impact in your overall analysis of the project. I want you to consider important account type or terminologies. In the field of finance, this is actually, we're going into the finance because we're dealing about cost or revenue. So finance, ano na to, no? Financial aspect na to, or simply accounting, okay? But with the concept of finance, we are just about, this is just about memorizing the terms. Yun lang talaga yun. Memorizing mo yung term. Ano ba yung term na ito? So you have to be very familiar with the terms being used. And then you know, is it going up or is it going down? Okay? Ganun lang. Okay? So, these three important costs will help you a lot, especially in scaling up your technology in the future. No? For now, you're having your prototype, but in the event that you become a startup company, you will mass produce your product. Because if you don't mass produce the product, you will not be cost efficient, or you be not competitive compared to your competitors. And I know that everybody is aware of the mass production. The mass production has been first instituted by Ford, di ba? Wherein the manufacturing of cars is already in line production. Yung mass production kasi normally is consists of a line production, di ba? From the start, mag-umpisa muna tayo sa isang part of the car, and then pag dumating na siya sa dulo of the line, on the end of the line, the car is now complete. So that's line production. That is mass production. Meaning, you are actually having a level of production. Ilang ba ang gagawin ko sa bawat araw? Level of production ang tawag doon. Okay? Is your level of production high, medium, low? How do you know the level of production is high, medium, or low? It depends on the operational definition of the company. No? Example, in my case, it's a hollow blocks. No? In my technology example, I'm selling hollow blocks. I might say, oh, okay, when I say low production, it means I'm producing about 1,000 pieces per day. But when I say mid production, I might be producing around 5,000 a day. But when I say high production or high level of production, I'm producing, say, 15,000 a day. Okay? So you have to identify, the company has to identify what will be the number of production or the level of production that I will produce at a particular period of time. In the manufacturing sense, we call it batching. In one batch, how many units, no? Siyempre, importante rin pag nag-uusap tayo about cost, no, finance, we're particular about the units or the so-called units of measurements. Okay? While we measure money in the unit of pesos, we're in the Philippines, we measure our product in terms of units or pieces. Okay? It depends kung anong unit mo. Ano ba yung unit na ginagamit mo sa product mo? Pieces ba yan? Or sets? Or square meter? Or cubic meter? Or per kilogram, per weight? Diba? Example, if it's food. Some food is per grams. So, tawag natin per weight. But if you're selling about machine, sabi mo, per set, kung ang machine na yun, may mga iba-iba pa siyang paraphernalia. Okay? Hindi lang siya isang peraso. Pag binili ng isang tao, ng customer, marami siyang peraso. So, ano tawag natin doon? Set. Pero if you sell it by piece, example, you're selling ball pens or bags, ang tawag mo, pieces. Or simply, units. So, pag sinabing units, it depends, no? One unit can be any unit that your company is using or what is applicable in your company. So example, in my company, my unit is not pieces. My unit is square meters. So I don't sell the hollow blocks per piece. I sell it per square meter. So per square meter is a size of a 1 meter by 1 meter by area. Okay? So it depends. Basta you know that your product is being operated and sold to the market per unit, however unit you want it defined. Now, when you operate, when you mass produce your product, okay, there are certain costs that are being incurred. The first type of cost that is being incurred is called a fixed cost. A fixed cost, the word itself means it is unaffected by the changes in the activity level, or simply it is unaffected regardless of your level of production. Whether you produce low, mid, or high, you will still pay for the same amount every month or a constant amount every month. Regardless whether you have operation or no operation, holiday or high or full blast operation, it doesn't matter. You still pay for the same amount. So what are examples of fixed costs? Example, rent. No, katulad ngayon, pandemic, a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses were not able to operate. But even if you don't operate, as long as you're there and you have a contract with your landlady or landlord, you will still pay for the rent. Regardless whether you sell 1 unit of your product or 1,000 units of your product, you will still pay for the same fixed cost. What are some example again of fixed costs? Interest of loan are fixed costs, no? So when you borrow money, it has interest. Whether you operate or not, you sell less or low, it doesn't matter. You have to pay for the interest rate of that product, of their loan. Okay? So you have to identify what are now my fixed costs. Bumili ka ng sasakyan, nagbayad ka monthly. So fixed cost 'yon. Okay? Malinaw 'yon, no? Kasi importante na nalalaman natin yung fixed cost natin. Okay, malinaw, no? It remains unchanged. But the second one is the opposite of a fixed cost. It's called a variable cost. By the word itself, the root word, vary. It changes. The amount changes based on the level of output or the quantity of output or the units or the volume or the level of manufacturing or volume of production. Okay? It changes linearly. The relationship is linear with respect to the output. If you produce 0, variable cost is 0. If you produce less, variable cost is less. If you produce more, variable cost is more. In other words, your total variable cost incurred will always be dependent on the total volume of production of units that you have produced. Malinaw yan, no? Okay, now, incremental cost or incremental revenue. This is the additional cost results from increasing the output of a system by 1 unit. Example, 1 batch in your manufacturing. Sinabi mo, oh, let's produce 100 pieces of hollow blocks. So you now can determine your margin, your cost margin, no? Or the more or less your revenue per product. But when we change the level of production, example, I don't want to produce 100, I want to produce 101. So the moment you change your level of production, even by 1 unit, your incremental cost will change. Okay? Let me have an illustration of that. This is a very basic table. In this table, you can create that table, okay? And then identify the cost for producing a particular product. We want to get the unit cost of one product. When we say unit cost, how much is the cost of producing a product? Magkano ang gagastusin para ma-produce ko ang isang product? Okay? So, the unit cost is not fixed. the unit cost changes based on the quantity of production. The company will determine the quantity of the production. So for instance, no? For instance, let me have my pointer. Your low production is 5,000, medium is 10,000, maximum is 20,000 units per day. Sige, para magkaroon tayo ng magandang imagination. Kunwari, ang product mo is pencil. So, sabihin mo, okay, pencil. 5,000 pencil, isang batch, isang run, no? Sabi mo, one day, okay? One day, one batch, okay? 10,000, 20,000. So, nag-change yung unit cost yan. Bakit? Because we want now to get the producing the product. What is the formula for the total cost of a product? The total cost of the product is equal to the fixed cost plus variable cost. Ano yan? Typical na yan, okay? The product, the cost of the product is the fixed cost plus variable cost because these are all the things that goes out of your pocket, okay? Example, you're given a fixed cost of 100,000. So 100,000 say bayad sa engineer, bayad sa renta, bayad sa hinuhulugan mo interest sa Bombay, okay? Kung saan ka man nagbabayad ng loan. So 100,000. Okay, whatever. Whether you produce 5,000, you produce 20,000, you'll pay 100,000. But let's say, the cost of producing 1 unit of your product, kunwari, pencil yung product mo, no? The pencil, 1 unit of your product is 30 pesos, for instance. 30 pesos ang ginagastos mo per produkto. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin? Kunin natin yung what you call this, the variable cost. 30 pesos multiplied by 5,000 is 150,000. 30 pesos times 10,000 is 300,000. 30 pesos times 20,000 is 600,000. So you could see that there's a linear relationship between the quantity and the variable cost. As we increase the quantity, the variable cost linearly related increasing. Or is increasing, okay? Now, we get the total cost. Fixed cost plus variable cost. So, 100 plus 150 is 250,000. 100 plus 300,000 is 400,000. 100 plus 600,000 is 700,000. Now, we get the unit cost. So, this is basically, this is logic or IQ. IQ na to, no? Paano malalaman yung amount per peraso? The total cost divided by the quantity. Sobrang elementary yon, di ba? Okay? So let's say unit cost is equal to total cost divided by the quantity. So this is 50. This is quantity total cost 250,000 divided by 5,000, 50. 400,000 divided by 10,000, 40. 700,000 divided by 20,000, 35. Okay? Now, what do we observe? We observe that the unit cost is inversely related with the quantity. Meaning, the moment we increase the level of production, we are decreasing the unit cost. In other words, you are maximizing your profitability whenever you can increase your quantity of production. No, you are maximizing the use of your fixed cost when you increase your level of production. Kaya this now, the difference in the unit cost, give you the differences in the incremental revenue. Okay? That when we change, when we add 1 unit or how much unit to our level of production, the cost changes. Kaya minsan sasabihin mo, I'm buying a shampoo, for instance. Ang susunod mo dito na table, paki-take note na lang, mag-lecture kayo, guys. No? Mag-lecture kayo. Mag-add kayo dito ng isa pang column. Lagay nyo selling price. Okay? Kunwari, selling price. So, saan ka kukuha ng selling price? Natural, kuha ko ng selling price sa 5,000. Ito sa pinakamababang quantity. No? Example, I want to earn 10 pesos. Because the selling price, the percent that you will put on top of your selling price depends on how much you want to earn, which I'll show later. Okay? Ano ba yung gusto mong ROI? Or kahit na hindi ROI, sabihin mo na lang, magkano ba gusto mong kitain? Gusto ko kumita ng 1 million. Okay? So, syempre, doon mo i-base yung, yung markup mo. Okay? Now, example, you decided, okay, let's put, let's say, what's 10% of this, 20% of this, 10 pesos. 20% ang gusto mo. Actually, mataas nga yung 20%, pero depende kasi sa sa hirap gawin yung isang bagay. Kung lapis 'yan, syempre bababaan mo yung markup mo. Pero kung malalaking mga component or machine, syempre medyo pwede mo taasan yung percent of your markup, no? Again, the markup, yung markup yun yung pinapatong mo para magkaroon ka ng selling price or profit, no? The markup is inversely related with cost. Inversely related with cost. Okay? Pakabaliktaran. Ibig sabihin, as the cost is increasing, the markup should be decreasing. Okay? Ganun yung natin, no? So, itong 50 na to plus 10 pesos, you sell this with 60 pesos. Siyempre, alangan naman baguhin mo yung presyo ng lapis, no? Hindi mo pwedeng pa-iba-iba. Sabi mo, ngayon, ang lapis ko is 60. The next time, it's 50 pesos. The next time, it's 45 pesos. Siyempre, hindi. Diba kasi, yung mass production yan eh, diba? Dadali mo yan kung saan mo yan i-deliver. Meron ka ng distribution channels. Dadali mo na yan sa mga bookstores, sa mga stores, etc. Okay, distribution channels mo. So, in other words, guys, you have a bigger margin when you maximize your operation. Yung 60 pesos mo, pagka-maximize mo yung operation mo na 20,000, kumikita ka ng 25 pesos. Pero when your operation is so down, syempre may mga instances bakit down, di ba? Example, there's hoarding of the raw materials. There's not enough people who enter or who report to work because it's pandemic or a lot of people are positive. So bumababa yung level of production. In other words, when that happens, you are actually your cost margin is roughly affected. Okay? So kanina dito sa 50 pesos nagpato ka ng 10, 60 pesos, 10 piso lang, 10 pesos is your markup, your profit, but here is 25 pesos. Kaya that explain also why some products are being offered discounted. Kasi baka sabihin nyo, ay diniscount niya, 20% daw. So ibig sabihin, lugi na siya. No, of course not, it's not lugi. No? The company can afford to give you a discount because they have maximized the use of the fixed cost. They simply increase their level of production so that they can now bring down the cost. So sabihin na nila, oh, sige, I will have a discount of 10%. My offering now is 45 pesos. Bibili ka ngayon, di ba? Kasi Pilipino, sarap, wow, ang sarap, discount. Di ba? Mahilig tayo sa discount. But actually, in the company's point of view, they just maximize their operation, but they still receive the same 10 pesos income per product. So it's just about the strategy. So we can actually strategize the quantitative level of production so that even if we mark down the price of our product, we still profit from it. Okay, so I hope this is clear because this is one basis applicable to most of you, because in the future, most of you would be undergoing mass production. Next, another terms now that you have to understand. Okay, there are costs that are said direct costs. Direct costs are measured to a specific output or work activity. Example po sa natin, anong direct costs? These are the costs that are directly associated with my product sa paggawa ng product ko. So what are example of this? Example of these are material costs. Siyempre, ginawa may product, unang-una doon, material cost. No? Next, labor cost. The cost of producing the product. Next, gumamit ako ng machine. Equipment cost. Next, meron ako subcontracting cost. So these are type of direct cost, meaning directly associated in working of your product. So guys, bibigyan ko rin ng scenario. Na example, you're using plywood in your product. And the plywood, the size of the commercial size of plywood is gulong na lang para mas madali, okay? You produce cars, and each car of course has 4 wheels, okay? Pero syempre hindi ka na mabibili ng 4 wheels from your supplier. Alam nga naman sasabihin ko, today I will produce 100 cars, so I need 400 wheels. Can you please deliver 400 wheels to me? Hindi ganun yung diskarte, no? Always, dini-discarte din natin yung nag-i-stock tayo, nagkakaroon tayo ng inventory. We call it an inventory. Okay? Ang ibig sabihin, nag-i-stock tayo ng product kasi hindi naman pwedeng kung ano lang kailangan mo, yun lang yung supply mo. What if may masira? What if yung isang gulong pumutok? What if yung isang gulong is hindi siya match dun sa needed, biglang yung isa, mas malaki pala yung circumference niya. It happens, no? Because depende yan sa sa tinatawag nating Six Sigma, no? Of the operation, yung tinatawag nating continuous improvement of the production. May mga outliers tayo tinatawag sa production. Yung mga outliers na yon, ibig sabihin na nakapag-produce tayo ng mga product na hindi standard. Malayo siya sa diameter, malayo siya sa thickness, no? Or sa size, sa dimension na pinoproduce natin. Now, in that case, guys, hindi ka nag-order ng sakto lang sa gagawin mo. Okay? Nagkakaroon ka ng inventory. Nag-i-stock ka. Ini-stock mo yon. So, hindi mo pwedeng i-charge yung lahat na in-stock mo sa produkto mo. Hindi pwede. Ang mahal ng kotse, di ba? Alam nga naman, you order for 1,000 gulong so that you have enough stock. Kasi bakit? Kasi sale. Sale yung gulong. Sabi ng supplier, pag bumili daw ako ng 1,000 pieces, mababa ng by 20%. Siyempre, bibili ako ng 1,000. Pero ang gagamitin ko lang, 4. Okay? So, yung 4 lang ang i-charge mo na direct cost. The rest is part of your inventory. Whatever is incurred, no? Ibig sabihin ng incurred na gamit in producing that product is called direct cost. The rest are part of the inventory. Stock mo yan para sa future use. Okay? Next, indirect costs. The indirect cost, of course, is the opposite of direct cost because indirect cost is not directly related to the work or the output. That's why there is some vagueness on this. There's some difficulty on how you attribute a specific indirect cost. No? But indirect costs are like costs that are a burden on the usual operation. Example, the indirect cost of producing the product would be my payment for my engineers. So example, may dalawa akong klase ng tao sa site, sa production area. Meron akong mga production engineers and I have production workers or laborers. Okay, magkaiba yan. Okay? Why? The laborers are the ones directly doing the product, so they are called direct costs. And you will charge the cost of that laborer who worked on that particular product. But the engineer is different because the engineer oversees everything. So, kunwari, simultaneous, gumagawa ka ng 1,000 cars in one day. And you have dedicated 2 workers per car. So, yung 2 workers is a direct cost of each car. But your engineer oversight everything. Ino-oversee niya everything. Iniikutan niyo yung planta to make sure that all are doing well. So, in other words, your engineer, the salary of the production engineers are indirect costs. These are commonly known as an overhead. Okay? And all other stuff, no? And all other stuff that are not attributable directly to the cost of doing a product are all commonly known as indirect costs. Okay? So that's malinaw tayo dyan, ha? Anyway, you're gonna understand it better as we move on, no? Next is the standard cost. A standard cost is a representative cost per unit of output. So, ano ba yung unit of output mo? Example, kanina nagsabi ko, ano yung ba? Pieces ba yan? Sets? By square meter, by cubic meter, by weight, etc. However, okay, there is always a unit cost of producing a product. So, kunwari, the product is a pencil, katulad kanina example natin. So, pencil, you have a standard cost per piece of pencil. Or car, you have a standard cost per piece of the car. How do you do that? How do you compute for the started cost? You just added direct cost plus indirect cost is equal to the total cost. You divide that by the total number of output, that is your standard cost. Very basic, no? Very basic. Diba? Yung total na lumabas sa yung pera, which is the direct plus indirect, and then you divide it with the number of your production, kung ilang na-produce mo, then yun yung standard cost. Okay? So palagi wait lang saglit lang. Saglit lang, guys. Hello, sis, nasa lecture ako. Hindi naman urgent. Hindi naman urgent. Sige, mamaya lang. Okay. Okay. So why do we need a standard cost? Kasi you have to simplify everything, di ba? You want to estimate future manufacturing costs. Dapat alam mo na, sasalang ako ng 100 pirasong pencil. So, automatic, standard cost times 100, yun yung budget mo. May nagpagawa sa'yo, charge mo nga ako, magkano order ako ng 10 kotse? I have yours per cost, at the times mo sa 10. That's standard cost. You don't do the derivation of cost all over again. You always computed the standard cost already. Example, how much is my tote bag? How much is my jewelry? How much is my furniture? How much is my food per order? Alam mo na yon, okay? It will just change when the price indices moved. Of course, there's a change of price index, but the price index change may not be every day, except for a highly unusual moments like COVID, no? Sa COVID, yung gulay pwedeng magtaas every day, iba-iba yung presyo. Yung baboy pwede mag-iba-iba yung presyo because irregular yung condition. But in such regular condition, bihira yung magre-recompute tayo ng standard cost when we see a very significant movement of the price indices due to inflation rate, due to economic, political, and other health situation, then nagre-compute tayo ng standard cost. And also, it also used for measuring the operating performance of your operation compared the actual with the standard cost. No, sasabihin mo, ba't ganito? Ba't ang dami lumampas na pera? Di ba dapat 100,000 lang? Kasi ba't kasi number of pieces times the standard cost, di ba ganun lang dapat yung nagastos natin. So why lumaki? Okay, so syempre gagawa mo ng i-resolve mo yung issue. Otherwise, malulugi ka. It's also used for preparing bids. Bidding, no? What's a bidding? A competitive bidding, di ba pataasan, pababaan pala, I'm sorry. Iba pala yung bidding na nasa mind ko. Bidding, normally if you want to project, gusto mo maging supplier, gusto mo ikaw yung taga-supply ng pagkain doon sa isang office na malaking building, no? Magbibid ka. You want to be, yung mga bags mo, yung mga tote bags mo, no? Karamihan sa inyo, hilig sa tote bag, walang kamatayang tote bag, okay? So yung tote bag nyo, gusto mo, sana ako yung manalo para they will use my bag as their Christmas giveaway, corporate giveaway. So you go on a bid, no? So when you do your bidding, alam nga naman, compute ka na naman, teka, magkano ba magkano yung indirect cost ko, tsaka direct, no need, because you already have a standard cost. You just multiply it to that, and you already know how to bid. And you already know how to dive. Okay. Well, dive is the term we call when you wanted to extremely lower your price, na parang dumadive, nagpapakamatay ka na, dadadive ako, kasing kalaban ko, 100 pesos, magdadive ako, 50 pesos ko offer. Okay, so, anong ginagawa niya? Possible ba yun siya 100, ito 50? Well, depende kung nag-a-adjust siya ng level of production. Kung talaga malaki yung company niya, fully automated, very, very much, very much productive, no? Yung kanyang operation, then posible siyang dumive. Okay, but this is a different, because application of civil engineering in most complex projects, malaking usapin to. There's a big discussion on this, especially with so-called variation orders. No? Ang mga talagang ginagawa yung variation order, change order, kasi mahabang ano yan, process, computation yan, mahabang computation. Okay? Next, establishing the value of work and process and finish inventories. Of course, malalaman mo na, pagka tinitingnan mo na inventaryo mo, ano ba yung mga natira kong materials versus sa nailabas ko, ang bilis mo mag-inventaryo, may nawawala ba? May nagnakaw ba? Okay? So, ang bilis mong malalaman, no, kung there's something wrong happening in the operation. Okay, now there's a so-called life cycle cost. It is the summation of all the costs related to a product the moment it's born until it dies. No, syempre, lahat ng bagay in life, no, there's nothing, it's not true of a lifetime except for trademark is a lifetime. No, but product in itself has its life. Anything that is born will die. Okay, walang wala tayong potion or the ano tawag doon? The being youth forever, no? But in one aspect of your product, there is always the acquisition cost and the operation phase. Palaging ganun. And there's this the cost, no? Nakikita natin meron tinatawag na needs assessment and what are my requirements, and then you conceptualize your product, di ba? Ito yung needs assessment, basically part of the problem and idea generation. Okay, you do your preliminary designs, you advance your development, and you do prototyping, you even do testing. Diba? Ito yung ginagawa na natin yung prototyping. And then, after that, when you do the prototyping, it's just a prototype. But it's not actually the actual product. But so you go, the ugly prototype pa yan eh. Pero at least, the prototype is a proof of concept already. Napatunayan mo, okay, this is doable. That's a proof of concept. Pero in reality, that's not the look when you sold it. Kaya magkakaroon ka pa ng mga detailed designing, production, construction, facilities and resource acquisition. Ito yung i-mass produce. Iba pa yung mass production, padadamihin mo na siya. So, meron ka pang, paano ba ito, i-detailed design ko lahat. Ayusin mo muna yan para maging ready ka for mass production. Kasi gusto mo maraming piraso at saka gusto mo tama yung itsura niya, standardized. No? Baka mamaya nagma-mass produce ka tapos may maliit, may malaki, iba pa rin itsura niya, tabi-tabingi pa rin siya. Siyempre hindi, naayos natin lahat yun. No? To standardize our mass production. Then we go on the production or the construction. And then operation or customer use, maintenance, and support. Of course, pag napoproduce ka na, bebenta mo na yan. No? And while you're doing that, nagbebenta ka na, of course, in your facility, you have so many operational expense, maintenance expense, support expense. Kaya nga may mga customer support, may factory support, production support, no, dami. On-call technical support, lahat na klase ng support nandiyan. Because it's meant to stabilize the operation. Hindi kasi pwede tayong, production tayo di ba? So hindi pwedeng one-time delay, 1 hour idle time. Okay? We always schedule their shutdown. Typically, shutdown is once a month. Pag high-demand machine, hindi natin sina-shutdown yan most of the time. But, there's some machine that is being shut down once a week. Once a week, no? May mga ganon, okay? Depende sa specifications of the machine. At syempre, depende sa'yo. Baka malulugi ka pagka ang dami mong shutdown. So, there's maintenance. And then, of course, your retirement or disposal. When something has to retire and it has reached its economic life, economic life ang ibig sabihin, the life of particular asset wherein it's still performing the performance it's meant to do when you purchase it. The moment the performance lower down, then it's now depreciated. So how are you going to retire it? How are you going to dispose it? Are you going to sell them? Okay? Or salvage value ba to? Ibebenta ko ba as is on a lower price? Or as a scrap value? Hindi ko na siya mabebenta as is. Pipira-pirasuin ko na lang at ititira ko na lang kung ano yung masasalvage ko na usable pa. Okay? So, these are things that you need to explore on the total life of your company or your product. There's cost-driven design optimization. In one life cycle of your product, these are the things that you need to consider. Number 1, you need your initial investment. Magkano ba ang ipupuhunan mo sa iyong company, sa iyong product? And once you have your initial investment, you need the operation and maintenance expenses. Of course, if you don't maintain masisira yung mga makina mo, or your your production would be lowered, no? Your productivity would be lowered, and you don't want that. So you have to retain your annual or monthly operation and maintenance expenses and other annual expenses other than the maintenance and operation. Ano pa yung iba na yon? Okay? And now, most companies are into ISO, di ba? Into accreditation. That's why there is the design for environment or DFE or green engineering. Of course, this is an investment. Example, mag-undergo ba ako ng accreditation? Okay, is there such a thing as I want ISO accredited? So I have to spend for that, and that would be part of the of expense, no? Example, university nagpa-accredit, ano yung libre? Of course not, no? In every accreditation of a school, it means millions. And yung millions na yun, saan babawian? Ede sa kliyente. Saan? Doon sa produkto. Naka-charge siya. But then, tumataas syempre yung cost mo dahil nag-green engineering ka. Pero okay lang. Because your trust and confidence of your clients or customers is also high. So, pipiliin nila, ay dito ako kasi nakalagay ISO certified. So, I'll still buy this instead, even if this is higher in cost because I am so sure about its environment-friendly material. Okay? Parang ano yun, environment impact is all akin to all the product. Hindi pwedeng, ako, ang inasolve ko lang is environment. Tapos sa kabila, ay hindi, inasolve ko dito SDG, health. Ay, dito sa kabila, water. Hindi, lahat yan environment. Encompassing, no? Because sa planet is one of the things that we want to protect. Planet, people, di ba? 5, di ba, pinaprotect sa SDG. What are the 5 Ps? The 5 Ps. Planet, people, peace, prosperity, and partnership. Okay? So, pag nag-green engineering ka, most probably it's encompassing all these 5. Now, let's work on how do we estimate a cost. Pag sinabing estimate mo nga to, what is an estimate by the way? Okay? And what is a cost? Ulitin ko yung cost. Cost is always goes down. So, wag nung gagamitin yung cost ng papasok. Maling-mali yun, ha? From this day on, you know that cost is outflow. Hindi ka pwedeng pupunta sa mall, may nakita kang t-shirt, tapos sasabihin mo, sa sales lady, miss, magkano yung cost nito? Walang ganun. Okay? Siyempre, lalabas yung pera mo, bibili ka di ba? So, ang sasabihin mo, ma'am, magkano yung price? Okay? Magkano yung price? Hindi, kasi yung, ang ibig sabihin, may kasamang, may kasamang profit in it, no? Yun ang difference ng cost versus price. When you say price, is already a profit. Pag lumabas sa'yo, cost yung buo with the price. Pero pagdating kay SM, meron siyang lang cost of producing that t-shirt, for instance. But please bear in mind, cost is always going out. And costs are most likely estimated. Napakahirap naman kasi ng sobrang saktong-sakto. Parang kahit siguro in a most, syempre in a most, for example, high, what you call this, high-end or highly automated, state-of-the-art manufacturing site, there could still be some room for being not super 0% exact, no? Kaya mostly costs are being estimated or assumed or guessed or forecast, okay? So in other words, it's a guess. It's an intelligent guess of what is supposed to happen in the future. So when you get cost estimate, it's just a cost that will happen tomorrow or any day after tomorrow, future. Let's discuss about some important components on how you do your estimation. Ine-estimate mo, magkano ba isang bag mo? Magkano yung isa mong machine, yung ginawa mong machine, magkano yan? Yung food mo, magkano? Okay? Now, the first step or the component one is called the work breakdown structure or the WBS. WBS is defining at successive levels of detail and work elements of a project and their interrelationship. Ano daw, iniiba, nagkakaroon ka ng levels, no? Iniiba mo successive levels of elements, work elements in a project. Work elements. Work elements is also the same as scope of work or program of work or task. Pare-pareho yan, no? Action word. Action word. Okay? Work elements. So, pakita natin paano work breakdown structure or WBS. This is an example of a 3-level WBS dahil 1, 2, 3. You now make a WBS of your project or of your product. Tapos alamin mo yung work elements. Okay? So, example, wag na tayong lumayo. Bag. Okay? Paborito yung bag kasi paborito niyo yung bag, di ba? The bag has, what are the parts of my bag? And those are work elements. Of course, gagawin ko yung bag, di ba? I will do the bag.